Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bet on Us. Hope some of you guys tuning in live here. Looks
Yep.
like we're good on Facebook and YouTube.
Excellent.
This is the most intense sports show with the least technically savvy co-hosts ever.
Yes, that is
Yep.
true.
But I'm
We are
BK.
making it work though.
That's right.
Making it
And this is
work.
my man Sab.
I'm
Sab, we
here.
got to get right to it, dude. I don't know if I know anyone personally that actually picked an entire week correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. You just did it.
I just did it, man. 16 and or 15 and 0, I think it was, because I mean, you count Thursday as 16 and 0. It just and I probably put less than 30 seconds of thought into this week's picks, and that's probably the way to go from here on in. I just went down the line and I was like, this is good, that's good, but of course, didn't parlay it. Didn't join a pick'em pool this week. I mean, it's just you can't make this stuff up, man. And we were talking last night, and I was watching that Raiders drive, and I was like, man, please just somehow win this, so I don't feel too bad. But I would love to win
Yeah.
15-1, but we didn't, man. Perfect week though. A perfect week's a perfect week.
Man, and I don't even want to tell you, I don't know if you looked at what the odds were,
Of
but
course not.
usually, historically, if you pick all 15 games,
Yeah.
the odds are somewhere around like $10 paying 4,000, 6,000. So,
Now, in my defense, I've never ever done it this year, so I've never like put all my picks there and then picked all of them and done a parlay. So I've never done that yet, but
yeah.
still
So then at
hurts.
least it's not like, this is the one that you missed.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, not bad, man. I mean, I thought I was off to kind of a hot start. Texans game threw me off for a little bit. And then
Yeah.
in the Bills, man. That game with the Lions, I don't know what's going on with the Lions. It seems like they're just so good, but
Yeah.
you know, their coach, like we were saying last week, is a little aggressive, a little crazy. And the injuries that they're dealing with are just like outrageous.
Yeah, and now they've got even more injuries. David Montgomery now is out indefinitely, I guess the whole season.
Yeah,
Izzy hasn't said a word in 2 hours. Now she wants to talk the whole show.
that's
That's
all right.
fine.
We have another co-host.
But come on, man, Josh Allen. Hello. I don't know if we may have talked about this guy a few half a seconds on this show. I know I have, but that dude is all world. He's all everything. I mean, he's throwing two-handed chest passes into the end zone for touchdowns. But he's just having fun out there with the Super Bowl favorite. I know they got a lot of injuries, but going into that game, the Lions were the Super Bowl favorite. Now it's the Bills, betting favorite, that is.
Is it the Bills?
It is the Bills now. It's plus
Yeah.
400. Last I looked, they are the betting favorite according to Caesars.
Okay.
But I know it's different on different platforms. But I do believe it is on Hard Rock. He's the overwhelming favorite for MVP. We'll get into that discussion in a minute because I've had to kind of take a step back and a little bit looking at when I said a couple shows ago that Lamar was out of the running. I was completely wrong and did not realize how good his numbers were. But
Unbelievable.
yeah, so
Yeah.
but it's just Josh Allen, man. He's to me he's the best in the biz. They're playing the best football right now. Maybe them and the Eagles. Eagles got a 10-game win streak, so it's gonna be an interesting last couple weeks. I don't know if they'll be able to catch the Chiefs, the Bills, that is.
Yeah.
But I know as a Bronco fan, I want to avoid that 7 seed because I don't want to have to go to Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. We know what happens there.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's wild with the Chiefs. I mean, it seemed like it was like yesterday they were pursuing, could this be the undefeated season?
Right.
And now it almost seems like they're unraveling. I mean, they're having super close games against the bottom of the league. Mahomes, the hit that he took was just like crazy. The way that he got folded up backwards, and I don't know how he's going to be when he comes back. I think he's questionable going into this week. It's only Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But it did not look good, man. And I don't know if you got such a lead, if you would even really want to play him right now.
So, well, the
we'll
thing
see.
is, they did say that he did have a full participation in practice today, and they said it's not as bad as the 2022 injury in the playoffs. Here's how I saw it, okay? I looked at him limping off the field, and I said, here we go. They're playing bad, right? They're all the doubts creeping in, this and that, about how like you said, they're playing one bunch of one possession games. They're not putting teams away. They're not scoring at will. And then here he comes. I know it's an injury. Again, I'm not saying he's not hurt, but then the limping and the going off and off the cart at the end of the game, and then the next day he's a full participation. Like, give me a break. This guy limps when it's convenient. He's gonna limp in the game. He's gonna play this week. They're gonna win against the Texans. They're gonna. By the way, that's one of my plays. -2.5. Are you kidding me? -2.5 Chiefs at home. Give me that. He's gonna play this week. Don't make any mistake about it. This man is not gonna miss another snap this season, and they're going to play, and they're going to be around
Think
and
it's a
annoying
show?
until the end.
You think Mahomes is not that tough? You think it's more of
I
his
think he no, no,
drama?
I think he is tough. I think he just
Yeah.
is going to play off that he's hurt, just like he did a couple years ago when they won the whole thing. I mean, he throws a touchdown, he's limping, or he's fine, and then like he throws a bad play, he starts limping, and it's
Yeah.
like, come on, man, yeah, come on, man, even if you know. So it's like, just
Yeah.
give me a break. I mean, they
With
need
that
the
limp there, you're looking
storyline.
like Luka Doncic, man.
Well, Luca, oh my God.
We won't bring in our NBA
Yeah,
talk
not
yet.
just yet. I don't have this. I don't have the headspace for it with the Broncos playing the way they are. I just don't have the headspace.
Yeah.
We're doing the show live during the NBA Cup final right now,
Yeah.
so that shows you where we at with the NBA.
What is it is just a joke, and
It
it was
really
cool
is.
like to listen on PTI a minute ago, when
PTI, that show's still on, huh?
it is, and Kornheiser's got to be like 80 years
I
old,
haven't watched that in a minute.
But anyways, they were on, and he brings kind of like an old school look, and he's pretty much saying, not just because he's 80, but
Yeah, I was gonna say.
he was like, do you guys want me to play along with this NBA Cup thing? And he's like asking like on the show, and he's like, if you want to, I'll go with it. But he's like, we're 20 games into an 82 game season, and there's a championship on the line. Like, it's such a charade. But anyways, back to the NFL.
Yeah, sorry. That was
Yeah.
my fault.
No. It was the limp that got me to Luca, and then we got to the NBA Cup.
Yeah. I'm trying to check the chats here. That's why I'm looking down here. I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to find if
No, that's
got any
fine, guys.
people
Yep.
in and out there.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, just kind of like a little PSA as we get underway this week, we are going to start doing this every Tuesday night at 9:30. So whether you're on the Facebook page or on the YouTube page, if you actually want to fire questions at us, I know it's fantasy football playoff season. We got the college brackets we're about to get into, so a whole lot of stuff to debate and talk about. So put a little footnote there, Tuesday nights,
Yeah,
and
Tuesday nights.
yes, sir.
Yep.
So
One of the few times that works for yours truly with the Rugrats and the busy schedule, and not that you don't have a busy schedule by any means, but
yeah,
I should
we're
say
just
our
kind of
busy schedules. I should say.
opposite sides of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, in any event, awesome week 15 for you. Myself, I went 11-4. The one special I really went after, I did hit. It was CD over 70 yards and over 5.5 catches. I believe he did that in the first half.
Say, did he do it in the first quarter? Because he had 4 for 70 with a tutty, I think, in the first quarter. So
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Cooper was just connecting with him.
that's his boy.
And it's, as a Cowboys fan, I got to tell you, they give you something there sometimes to get excited about.
Yeah.
I know that they were playing the Panthers, but, Rico Dowdle looked like he was just running hard. CeeDee's just unbelievable. You had Ferguson back in the mix. Turpin's just, so electric. And then the defense, I mean, and not just Micah Parsons, like their whole D line was bringing the heat every single play. And so it's like, dang, if they just had a shot at the playoffs here. I know I saw in the little thing that they're in the hunt, but they need 1,000 different things to go
Smallest
their way.
of chances, yeah. I mean, the Commanders' loss would have been nice for them, but that didn't happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they're not making the playoffs, but you like to see, at least as a fan, I mean, you're not getting a high draft pick, so you might as well finish the season strong. I mean, what's the difference between pick 13 and pick 16 or whatever it's going to be? I mean, there's a lot of bad teams in this league right now. The Giants, the Raiders, the Jaguars,
The Falcons.
the Bears.
Dude, the Falcons, who are going to make the playoffs, I think.
Not necessarily, actually. Oh,
That was. I watched that last night.
Yeah,
just
sorry,
because
go
I
ahead.
said not to interrupt, but I said
No, go
that they
ahead.
were going to cover 5.5,
Yeah.
and they did in maybe the most boring fashion
Blocking
ever.
extra points.
Yeah.
Sick.
But I mean, this was a team, and that's what the announcers kept saying, that they were so conservative. It was like they would not let Kirk Cousins throw the ball. And reasonably so. I mean, every time he dropped back, it looked like he was in like stutter mode and just so nervous looking. I mean, the run game is phenomenal, but the fact that they couldn't just light them up and win by 30 points was like shocking to me.
Well, you mentioned how he looked kind of like scared in the pocket, and that Dan Orlovsky. First of all, Dan Orlovsky needs to call some football games, man. I actually really enjoyed listening to him.
Cracks me up, man.
He was actually really good, I thought, and he said he knows what he's talking about. He did run out of the back of the end zone without being
My
touched,
favorite play in history.
which he literally on Twitter gets so mad about anytime anybody mentions it. He's like, "That's the only thing I'm for." But
Did you see when they had the safety?
what? No.
Yeah, so the Falcons punt the ball, and the guy fair catches it on the 3 yard line. It wasn't like they like put it there. He fair caught it on the three, and then whoever the guy was, Desmond Ritter. So Orlovsky's like, oh, Ritter's got to think here. He's got to be aware where he is, and he's like, I still have some nightmares there. We all know, but
Yeah, it always comes up, man. But what I'm saying is, it's like he made a good point that Kirk's in the pocket the last 5 weeks. He's not, when his first read isn't there, he gets real fidgety that he usually never did before. It's almost like he wanted to basically say, like, he looks washed. Like, he wanted to
yeah,
say it, but he obviously can't say that. And that's what he kind of looked like. It was like he's just not trusting his reads. And you said they just wouldn't let Kirk throw the ball. Well, guess what? Now they're not going to let him. They just announced that Michael Penix Jr. is going to start this coming Sunday and probably the rest of the season, with them being one game back of the Bucks, with having the tiebreaker with the Bucks to win the division and make the playoffs. They're giving the keys to the rookie now already, and the $100 million guaranteed, and they don't even let him finish the season. I mean, he has, in his last 5 games, he's got 1 touchdown and 9 picks. That's a really bad stretch.
it doesn't
So
get much worse.
yeah,
That's
so I mean,
Eli Manning esque.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So we'll see
but
what happens, but
you think that's it for him?
I think that's it for him in Atlanta. I don't see him coming back from that unless Penix, like, not wishing this. Obviously, like, if he gets hurt real quick or something, they have to throw him back in.
Yeah.
But I mean, that I don't know what the logistics are of the contract. I know for a fact that they'd owe him a lot of money if they let him go this offseason. Kind of like Russell Wilson type with us. But I mean, it worked out for us, obviously, so far. But I mean, I don't know. I think there's definitely teams that would that are looking for a quarterback that would take him. I
Yeah.
mean, I can name about 6 teams right now that would take him just as an insurance policy, maybe a bridge guy to their rookie that they draft. So I mean, he
Yeah.
definitely would have a job next year. But it's crazy how
It's
fast it's fallen for him
I
in
know. It's a
years.
shame, dude, because like he had such like everybody loved him. He had that great kind of underdog story.
We love him. He's a friend of the show, that's for sure. We love him here.
Yeah,
We
we
talk
like him.
highly of him a lot.
Yeah, we're big Captain Kirk fans,
Hmm.
but it just seems like it's that, like you said, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions, kind of falling down. Now the rookie comes in while they're still technically in a playoff race, which
Yeah,
is it feels like the ultimate slap in the face of like, sorry man, we're moving on. And then if this guy has a good run, then what are you doing? Are you trying to spend the twilight of your career being a backup quarterback at some new team? Like
yeah.
it
I
just
mean,
kind of stinks.
at this point, I think I would take my money and run because he's got plenty of it and he's made plenty
Sure.
in the league. But it's easy for
Yeah.
us to say these guys got the love for the game, and if he's going to be anything like he has been his last 5 or 6 games, though,
Yeah. Good luck.
I mean, he doesn't look very good. It doesn't look like anybody's going to be beating down his door to get him, at least for a starting job. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's just an interesting thing but the Bucks are playing really good ball. I wonder if they're almost like not conceding. I mean, they got to think that they can win games with this kid, but I mean, he's coming in just with
Yeah.
no reps, none, like
But
none. He played for a
y-
little bit against the Broncos at the end of that blowout game, and that's it.
yeah, I think they said he had 5 passes so far
There
in
you
his
go. Yeah,
career, which is
right.
the season. But I mean, the weapons that they have, their run game, Bijan, Algier is
True.
awesome.
Yeah.
Drake London, Pitts, they have such an explosive
Yeah.
offense, and it just looks like that they just don't want to turn Cousins loose. Maybe they let Penix go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he could be the spark that they're looking for, and he might be seeing guys better. He might take some more
Yeah,
chances or let it fly. I mean, at this point, if you're going to put him in week 16, I think you just let the kid go crazy for the
I
last
think
three
he
weeks.
will.
Yeah, I think you just let him fling it, and if he throws 5 picks, whatever, you know what
You
I
might
mean?
see one of those like 400-yard games. I mean, if you want to look at a
Possible.
crazy prop,
Yeah.
he
See what
might
his
come in like, I got nothing to lose. I got a ton of weapons. Let me show the world. If there's some parlay there of like
yeah.
4+ picks, 400 yards,
Four
like the
plus picks. Hey, I mean, I would just give him the keys and let him go crazy at this point. Like, you got nothing to lose if you play like you
yeah.
have been the last couple weeks. And they've got some tough games actually coming up. So it's not like they're playing any pushovers either. I think they play the Saints the last week of the season, but then the other 2 games I can't remember. I know they play the Commanders, and then I think they go to Philly or something like that. So
Okay.
maybe it's not Philly, but it's definitely not the.
Yeah, they got to fight. They got to fight their way in
Yeah,
if they get
exactly.
there. But
Yeah.
even though we just kind of made this the Falcons Kirk Cousins show as we often do, let's switch gears and let's talk college.
Yeah.
College football, we got the first extended playoff season in
Man.
history here in this, what I consider a semi professional league,
Yep.
where everybody gets paid millions and goes wherever the heck they want. But, anyways, we won't go down that rant. So, I put together a little bracket. I think you got your picks in, Sab. Do you want to start with who do you got for round one?
So we'll start. I mean, we'll just go kind of in order. Obviously, the Tennessee Ohio State game, the 9 versus 8. This to me is obviously the most even matchup I think of the first round, and could go either way. Tennessee has shown that they can play with the big teams, being in the SEC. Obviously, Ohio State to me has not. They beat Penn State. They lost to Oregon. They lost to Michigan. Other than that, I can't really tell you a big win on their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, they've had a lot of time to think about this Michigan loss. A lot of time to look in the mirror. Ryan Day has a lot of time to look in the mirror. And to me, Tennessee, if you're going to play an SEC team in this tournament, that's the one you want to play. I know that sounds stupid, but Ohio State, I think, can beat Tennessee, and I think they can get it done. And I think this is going to be an ugly game. I think it's going to be like a 16-13 game. Not that I'm betting the under or anything like that. But I like Ohio State in that game. I think they can get it done and go to play Oregon for the right to get their butts kicked by Oregon.
Okay.
That's where I think that goes. So I'll just stay on that side of the bracket. I have them playing Oregon and then Oregon winning on that one. Do you want me to go
Okay.
through them all, or you want to just start? You want to start with your Tennessee Ohio State pick? Then we'll go game by game.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, we could do that. I'll tell you real quick what I got just for round one. I got Ohio State over Tennessee. I don't have a lot of commentary on those. Be honest, I haven't watched a ton of either of those teams, but I think Ohio State should just outmatch them considerably, in my opinion. Texas, I think that they had a chance to have a much better season. Even
Hmm.
though they had an amazing season, I'm convinced that they got the best defense in college football. And that's where I thought they could have, if they played their cards right, had some close games, they could have been a 1 seed. So I'm taking Texas over Clemson. I think that's a slam dunk. That should be an easy one. Notre Dame, Indiana. I believe that's the first game. That's
Yeah.
Friday night. I like Notre Dame there. Notre Dame, good defense, good running game. Notre Dame, I don't think Indiana they're in the playoff. I don't want to say they don't deserve to be there, but I think Notre Dame can handle them. And then SMU and Penn State. I'm taking Penn State all day over those. So I think really, in my opinion, the only real close game might be Ohio State, Tennessee in round one. But I think Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, they should all have convincing victories.
Well, we're in complete agreement in round one. I also took Texas over Clemson. I think that's an easy one. Notre Dame over Indiana. I think Notre Dame wins that one pretty easily. And then Penn State, SMU. I've got Penn State as well. And again, this is going back to me thinking that they totally botched this whole first round matchups. I think we could have had a lot better matchups. I think they could have. I still think Alabama should be in this. I know.
Yeah.
I still think it should be Alabama, not SM. I understand SMU played in their conference championship game. I
Do
get
you
that.
think they try to pick the best teams?
I think so. In the past, when there was four, I want to say yes, but in this particular situation, I think they didn't, and they had every. I think I talked about this last time. They had every chance to use that Alabama bias that they clearly have had for how long? I mean, years, right? One less loss in the best conference than SMU, and they picked SMU because they went to their conference championship game, who are arguably played in the worst of the Power Five conferences, the ACC. I just don't understand. I'll never understand why you wouldn't want that. I understand they went to the conference championship game, but they lost to Clemson, who had probably no business being in there anyway because Miami lost to Syracuse.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't.
This
make
is
sense to me.
the reason I ask that question is like you think of, all right, we got a bracket. The only other real bracket everybody knows, of course, is March Madness.
Yeah.
And that's some of the thrill of March Madness is that, do you get the 64 best teams? Absolutely not.
Mm.
You can have years where UNC doesn't even make it. They're in the NIT.
Last year,
And then some school that you've never even heard of, it
right?
becomes like a 12 seed or something.
Because they won their conference championship. Yeah, and they get the automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's some of the thrill of like, oh man, is this little school that nobody even knows how to pronounce their name is going to beat Duke or
Yeah.
whatever? So I know there's a bit of that thrill. That's what makes March Madness and the Cinderella story. I don't know if this extended playoff, they were trying to do more of the same of, do you get a Boise State that a lot of the casual football fans are like, Boise State, that, they're in there getting a bye. And, things like that, where we'll get to round two. I think they're going to get crushed by Penn State, even though I love Genty. But
But
so,
that's the thing too, though, is now you have Arizona State as well with the bye, and they wanted to give the four best conference champions a bye. That's what they said coming into this. But the fact that they made them, that they kind of created this, like they made themselves do that because they said, okay, we're giving them the byes no matter what, the four best conference champions. Well, you don't necessarily have to do that. Like if you got, like you're telling me a Boise State is better than a Texas, you're telling me that an Arizona
yes,
State's better than a Texas. You're telling me they're better than Penn State. Even Notre Dame. No, you're not saying that.
exactly. I mean, can you say that Boise State is so good they get a bye in the
Right.
playoff that
Right.
Alabama doesn't make?
And I want to right, and I want to say that exactly. And I want to say,
You know?
well, they'll fix it because it's just the first year, this and that. But like, you got real football minds in there thinking of this all season long, and I just think they completely botched it. I think it's going to be a great tournament no matter what. I mean, it's a 12-team college football tournament that we've never had before. We're going to be excited. We're going to watch it. People are going to watch it no matter what. But could you imagine a Alabama Penn State round one game? Man, that
Yeah,
would just be free.
bonkers.
That might be the most watched first round game there would be, probably. Now it'll
Yeah.
be Notre Dame because Notre Dame's so popular, maybe Ohio State, but yeah, I don't know. And then maybe we'll sit here and SMU makes a run and we're eating our
And
words.
then Boise State crushes them.
Yeah, and then it's
And that
Boise
was my
State
thing
versus
is, I don't know if they were sitting there in these back rooms, whoever they are, saying, do we want to get the best teams and the best matchups? Or do we want to provide an opportunity for the Cinderella story and mimic March Madness a touch? But the thing is with March Madness, I mean, it's just so big. When you get 64 teams, you can have some games that are like either A, we won't even watch because it was a 70-point blowout, or B, it was the biggest upset in sports history, where you don't have that kind of roll of the dice when you only got 12 teams to put in.
right. Yeah, we
But
shall see. So we'll move on to round two. So
round two, yeah,
we'll start with Ohio State versus Oregon. I gave that one away early. I take Oregon in that one. They won a close game against Ohio State early in the season. I don't think it'll be that close this time around.
agreed.
And then we got Texas versus Arizona State. Arizona State's a nice team. They got a good run game, but I agree with you. I think Texas has the best defense in the country. So give me Texas over Arizona State. So setting up for an Oregon Texas matchup. And then you got Notre Dame versus Georgia. This game could be interesting. I don't know the extent of Carson Beck's injury. I haven't heard much about it, so I'm assuming he's okay. I'm assuming he's going to play with this extra time off. If he doesn't play, that's a different story, but I think he will. He's been inconsistent all season. He's been a second half quarterback all season. I think he does just enough for Georgia to beat Notre Dame because I'm not convinced Notre Dame can score enough points with Georgia. Notre Dame's got the good defense, but I like Georgia in like a 21-17 kind of game. Another ugly one. And then you got Penn State, Boise State, probably my first upset pick, even though it's not
Really?
upset pick with the numbers. So here's why I'm saying I'm going to give you a reason why.
Just because you love Genty so much.
That is correct. I don't have any other reason. None. Because here's the thing: I haven't watched a single snap of Boise State this season. I've seen highlights. Nobody else has either. You haven't watched any Boise
No,
State.
not one.
Nobody watching this show other than people in Boise, Idaho, have watched Boise State play football on that blue field. But to me, I think there's your story right there. I think Genty and Boise State, I think he's pissed he didn't win the Heisman. He should be probably pissed, although I think Hunter deserved it. There's a lot of people that don't think that. Give me Boise State in an upset just because there's got to be one. That's the only one. There's got to be something.
Okay.
Can't
Okay.
chalk, right? So give me that. And I don't think Texas over Arizona State's an upset at all. So give me Boise State. So I got the Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Boise State.
Yeah, and isn't that funny? I mean, you're saying like, oh, it's not an upset, but you just look at the numbers and it's like, well, technically,
Yeah.
if you didn't actually look at spreads, like it's a 5 beating a 4, but yeah. So, and on my side, we've got some agreements, some differences. So on the left side, I'm with you. I got Oregon over Ohio State. I think Oregon's the clear-cut favorite, not to put the cart before the horse, but Oregon over OS, Texas over Arizona State. Again, really like Arizona State. That guy Scatterboo or whatever, he's a freak, man. He's like a modern day Mike Allstott, I said last week.
It can't be Scatterboo.
It is. It is. Scatterboo. Yeah, you go fact check me.
I know you with names, dude.
The guy's a stud, but he's not going to run all over Texas. I could tell you that.
Scatabo, Cameron Scatabo. Okay, you're right. You were close enough.
Pretty
All right.
close, right?
Yeah, no, definitely not what I thought his name
So,
was. All right.
anyways, amid the fact check, give me Texas. And then Notre Dame over Georgia. I guess this would be my upset
Yes.
because I think
It's
Georgia
an
goes
upset.
in there clear favorite. Maybe this is a little kind of, going with the heart, but I feel Notre Dame. And then on the other side, too, upset number wise, ranking wise, I'll take Penn State over Boise State. I think that's a different class of competition.
Penn State had a great draw. Great draw in this.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
did.
you're looking at
And
S.
that's why I think you're nuts. Like, go ahead
Yeah.
and pick an upset, but don't pick the one with the teams that play everybody you haven't heard of, and then a Big Ten Penn State that's just crushing.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
So give me Penn State over Boise, and then let's get into the
Yeah.
semifinals.
Yeah. So we've got our left side is the same and the right side's different. Another reason I didn't pick Penn State or Notre Dame is that one of them will be in the national championship, and I just don't a championship, and it's just like a weird thing to think like, man, that's gonna be one of the teams. But anyway, Oregon, Texas. If this actually happens, that's going to be a hell of a matchup. That'd be the matchup of the tournament, probably, in my opinion. And I think it comes down to QB play. And to me, Dylan Gabriel is the best quarterback in the country. The guy, I watched that game against Penn State, and now maybe I'm a little biased because my boy Bo went there last year and he went absolutely nuts, 45 touchdowns, 3 picks. But Dylan Gabriel's playing almost just as good, and he maybe better. And
Yeah.
he's a really, really good, and he can run and he can do everything. They've got 2 backs, they've got 4 receivers that can make plays. I mean, I think they'll just be too much. I know Texas has that good defense, but I don't. And Quinn Ewers to me has been inconsistent for a team that's been so good.
Yes.
And I think it's partly because he's got Arch Manning like right here on
Yeah.
his ear every single couple possessions that he doesn't score points.
And he always looks like he's right there with like an injury of like, can he play or not?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where it's going to catch up with them is this game against Oregon, because Oregon can score at will. They can score with anybody. They can outscore anybody, and I think they will. And I think it'll be a good game. I just think Oregon has too much offense for them. So I got Oregon in the championship, and then I got Georgia and Boise State on the other side. Obviously, I'm not going to take Boise State in that one. So I kind of went chalk with the top 2 teams. I'm taking Georgia. I think Georgia's going to do enough. They've got enough. They've got an experienced coach, an experienced quarterback. When it comes down to it, I understand. I've said this every time I talk about him. Carson Beck's been inconsistent, but I think that the matchups that he's going to have, and if it is Boise State, which I have picked, I think he'll do enough. I think Georgia will stop the run enough.
If they play Boise State, Sab, they'll crush them, but they're not going to.
All right, so there we go. That's why I just had to go with the bracket where I had.
Yeah.
So I got Oregon and Georgia in the title game.
Okay. All right. Which is respectable. I think a lot of people will have those same
tough
seeds.
to pick against it for me.
Yeah. And so for myself in the semis, I got Oregon over Texas, just like you said, really just because, I mean, they're undefeated. I watched that Penn State game, which ended up being somewhat of a close game, but they were just in complete control. And their offense, it just looked like they were practicing down the field. Like it seemed like they never even really were flustered at any point. So yeah, Texas is sick, but again, I like the quarterback play, kind of comment. So for that reason, I'll take Oregon. And then Penn State over Notre Dame. I think Penn State's got a really good team. I like Drew Aller. Good defense. They got a lot going for them. And they kept it close with Oregon. I mean, they kind of made a comeback there. So, if they're going against Notre Dame like I'm calling, then definitely give me Penn State.
So you got a matchup again.
Yes.
You got a rematch.
So we got
game,
Oregon, Penn State, just a rematch of what we had a week ago.
That was a great game, so I wouldn't be mad about that, and I don't think many people would either, outside of Big Ten country maybe. But all right, so Oregon, Georgia. I kind of think you guys kind of saw where I was going with this as I was talking about this team. I just think Oregon's the best team, and it's hard to pick a best team this year. We kept saying it's anybody's game, but when it comes down to it, and you look at the matchups and I think it's Oregon's to lose. I think, like I said, they can score with anybody, and I think they'll have just a little more offense than Georgia will, and then that's when Carson Beck's inconsistencies will come in. I have to say it every time, but give me Oregon. Which if it's Oregon Georgia, that'd be an amazing matchup. So I like Oregon to win the first ever 12-team college football playoff.
Yep, and I'm right there with you. I got Oregon beating Penn State again to be national champions. I think, as we're talking here, the only thing I think that could kind of throw them off is if something happened to Dylan Gabriel, which, you
Right.
hope never happens, but injuries are a part of the game, and I think he is the best quarterback out there. So if you lose the best quarterback, your team completely changes. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think that'll happen, and they also have a bye, which I think in football that means a lot,
Oh yeah.
especially after a long season. Penn State does not have a bye. They don't have that luxury of resting, getting, feeling a little bit better. Yeah, give me Oregon, and we're both in agreement there, so we're going for Oregon.
And it's a 2 week bye if you think about it. Right? Am I right? Like they're not playing this week. They didn't play last week, right? Yeah. So I mean, that's a two. It's a two. It's 2 weeks off. So
Very
that's
well rested,
yeah.
healthy, and I don't even think they got to worry about rust because, well, I guess maybe they do. They're playing Ohio State likely, so
No.
they don't
Yeah.
have that pushover game like
Well, that's the thing is like
Penn
you look
State got.
right, like the draw, like the number one team has to go against either Tennessee or Ohio State. Like, how does that make any sense? How
Yeah,
is that the 8-9 matchup? You're telling me that I mean, Clemson won their conference.
I think it pays to be five,
Yeah, exactly.
or six. Like they have the easiest matches.
You get the first game is at home. You get to play at home in the first game, so it's not like you
Yeah,
have to go to a neutral field. So like this is they got to look at this. They got to relook at this because the only team that really is benefiting from a bye maybe are the teams like Arizona State and Boise State. Oregon and Georgia don't benefit from the bye as far as matchups go.
no,
Probably
not
gonna
at
have to play
all.
Notre Dame and Ohio State. Like that's
Yeah,
that's
I'll
crazy.
tell you what. Then this is pretty ironic that we just had Penn State play Oregon, and now I'm calling for that it happen in the championship. I think I would rather be Penn State right now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I think you're
I
right.
think Penn State's saying I'm good. Forget the bye. I'd rather play SMU and Boise State than have to go head to head with Ohio State right out the gates.
And then probably Texas after that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
exactly.
you can make the argument that Penn State has a better draw than the Oregon bye week number one seed.
No
You can
doubt.
arguably say that. I think
That
they do.
I don't think we have to argue it. I
Yeah,
just
I think
made
you're
that
right.
point, and I think that's it. It's a done
Gotta
deal.
look at this.
Yeah,
And the funny thing about this whole bracket too, and going back to Alabama and saying they should have been in,
I knew Alabama would find a way in again.
I'd have picked them to win the whole friggin' thing. I'd have picked them to go through the whole thing. I'm serious. I put a bet on it a couple weeks ago that they'd win it all. $10 won 400, and they get snubbed on the getting in. So my money and my heart would have been with Alabama. Could you imagine Alabama at that 11 spot? Go to Penn State, get through there. Cool. Now you got Boise State, and then you get to play Georgia, who you whooped up on early in the years. Man,
Yeah,
but we'll
it's
we'll
crazy
never know.
because you go play like a Vanderbilt or something, but
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
where the college football is wild,
Yeah,
man.
it's
I
fine.
think this is like the craziest period
College football, yes. We're
in
talking
college
college
football.
football.
Yep, there she is.
She knows college football? Yeah. So,
So yeah, I think that kind of sums up, the NCAA bracket. I don't know if we want to get into Week 16 picks, if we want to go back to NFL, or maybe save that for.
well, let's stick with college first for a minute because Mark Fiolo is in the house and he says that the Canes got snubbed, not Alabama. We didn't talk enough about the Canes, probably. I think they might have gotten snubbed, but it's not their. It beat Syracuse, man. I mean, beat Syracuse. Like that's just
Exactly. And that's where, dude, nobody's pulling harder for the Canes, but yeah, that just like you said, it's just like Alabama. I mean, if they're going to sit here and complain, oh, we ought to be in there, you could have just beat Vanderbilt,
that's true.
and you are in there. So, and it's even worse with Miami, where it's like, your season was on the line, and it was like time to go out there and smoke Syracuse,
Yeah,
and you get
you
whooped.
did. Yeah,
You can't
exactly.
complain.
And you didn't. Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and play the what if game, but I guess yeah, and this is what we're stuck with. This is what we have. We've got Penn
Yeah.
State versus SMU. Nobody wants to see that. Is that the biggest favorite of round one, or is it Texas?
So I'll take a
I
quick
haven't
look
looked at
here.
that really. If I'm not gonna lie, I have not looked at the spreads in that game, which
Let's look at it
is
just for
interesting because our name of this podcast is Bet on Us, and we're not talking spreads. But
yeah. I mean, if you want to get in the NFL, I can lay those out for you, but
no, I got that
yeah,
too. We will get an NFL very soon because we got to pick. We're gonna do our picks there, but.
let's do it, man. So let me take a quick look here. We'll pull up here on our.
Joe McDonald in the house. What's up, Joe? Big Notre Dame fan. Notre Dame fan. Everybody's now. People are rolling in an hour after we got live. I love to see it.
That's all it
Everybody's getting
takes.
off work, you know. And
Yeah.
all my
We're
industry folks.
we're a little glitchy getting the whole live thing going. So
So, you know,
bear with it, folks.
we're just chilling, you know.
I don't know why I
We're
can't
trying to
find
go.
the.
Yeah, I can't find any of the
Okay.
spreads. I don't know
All
why.
right. Here we go. I got them all for you.
Hit it, hit it.
Notre Dame favored by 7.5. I don't know if I want to call them to cover that, but I'm still taking them to win. Now, this is interesting. Penn State favored by 8.5.
Okay. I would have put
Maybe.
I would have probably put it at around 10. But
That's what I'm saying. I think Penn State fans might have a play there.
let's go.
Texas favored by 12 over Clemson.
Wow.
That's
That's
another one where 12 is stretching it. That's out of my
no, I
comfort
think they're
zone,
gonna
but I
blow
could
them
see
out.
it.
That's interesting.
I could see that. Yep. And then this is another one I'd be uncomfortable with. Ohio State favored 7.5 against Tennessee.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm taking Ohio State, but I think at the same token, you could take Tennessee plus 7.5.
So you have to factor in that this is the first time in the history of college football that you have home playoff slash bowl games. Like you have a home, like you're at home stadiums. That's the first. It's the first of its kind. So it's definitely gonna be different. I mean, can you imagine the horseshoe that night? It's gonna be nuts. Even though they just lost to Michigan. Now, if they struggle out of the gate and go 2, 3 and outs, it's gonna be bad because they're still thinking about that Michigan loss. They want to fire their coach because he's 1-4 against Michigan. They
Yeah,
better get off to a good start on offense because the first 3 and out, you're gonna start hearing boos. I guarantee it.
yeah.
Guarantee it.
But I think they just run into a buzzsaw with Oregon. Yeah, I mean, I know we're beating a dead horse here with the buys, but just as I keep going back to this, and you see Boise State and Arizona State, I think you got two teams with buys that are underdogs that do not even win a game in the playoff.
Well, you know damn well that the college football committee is going to be rooting for those two teams to at least play. At least they don't have to win, but be competitive in those games. Because
Yeah,
if they get blown out in those games, it's gonna be bad. And we might have 16 teams next year if they get blown out. Like
yeah.
that just might be it for the 12.
In Arizona State, I've brought them up a lot on the show in the past few weeks. Had some really good picks with them where they are good, but again, they're not playing the competition that when they win by 30 points, I feel like the committee should see, okay, they won by 30, but they did it against an Arizona team that isn't beating anybody. So that's where I just think these conferences, there's such a disparity between them.
Yeah,
Which going back to Miami, I know we had someone just ask about Miami. They didn't have a tough game, you know?
no, they didn't.
And they lost. They got whooped by Georgia Tech. They got beat up by Syracuse. You can't go into a playoff with games like that.
Their toughest game came week 1 at the Swamp, and the Gators struggled half the season. They came on late, had some good wins, but at that time the Gators they had an awful start. We were 3-4 to start the season, something crazy like that. So
Yeah.
that was
If you remember
toughest
going in the season, all the talk was if Miami with Cam Ward, can they beat FSU?
yeah.
And it was like, okay, that was their big game. Come on.
Yeah, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah.
Mark Fiola says, "Give me Clemson and the points." Cade Klubnik coming home to Austin, Texas. Why are you guys?
12 points is a lot.
He says,
you
"Why
know?
are you guys shredding Syracuse as if they suck? They were 8-4. They were 8-4 in the ACC. That's why we
Yes.
were shredding them. The
Yeah.
ACC is poverty. It's not.
What's we're spending some time here on college, which I like. What's the worst record in the playoff? Do we know?
I think it's Clemson. I want to say it's Clemson because I think they have 4 losses, don't they?
Do they have 4?
3 or 4? Because well, maybe it's 3. Actually, let's. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because that was always the conversation is like, okay, with the expanded playoff, you can lose a game. You lose 2, you're likely out. You need some things to kind of go your way.
It's got to be Clemson with 3 losses. Yeah, 9-3 Clemson. So I don't think any other team has 3 losses.
And then you go back to your beloved Alabama. Man.
I know, man. Yep. Just like you said, though. Like you said, you're right. And I didn't take this into account. Just beat Vanderbilt. They would have been in. Just beat freaking Vanderbilt. They lost to Oklahoma as well.
Who goes out? Again, I think you beat Vanderbilt. Okay, Alabama's in there. We got Alabama, Georgia, all the things that we want to hear.
Yeah.
You might bump Clemson, and you still got Arizona State and Boise State in there.
Well, Clemson still would have made it because of the winning the conference. So it would have been they won the ACC championship over SMU. So it would have been SMU. Gone.
SMU, yeah.
Yeah, SMU would have been gone.
Then you would have had Bama, Penn State.
Yeah, it would have basically been Bama, Penn State because they're not going to put Clemson at a higher. They're not going to do Bama Texas round one. They wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing here
Yeah.
is the buys. Just looking at 3 and 4 with Boise State and Arizona State, they've got to show up because I think there's a lot of people out there with the same sympathies we have of like, really, these guys get buys. Like, they don't play big time college football.
No, and then Joe McDonald asks. He says, "Sound." I'm pretty sure he said meant to say, "Should Notre Dame join a conference?" What do you think? Should they join a
No,
conference? No.
no. I love the little kind of slivers of tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Notre Dame is kind of like, in their own little world. It's a part of the Notre Dame, like, or the nostalgia of Notre Dame. So I think they join one of these conferences where there's just all this friggin', mishmash of transfer portal nonsense. And it just makes it even more, it takes away some of that magic of it. Cause it's like, at what point are we going to lose the Army Navy game? And I feel like they're like the last kind of bastion standing of like, there's no transfer portal.
We ain't losing that in the next 4 years. I can tell you that. But we'll definitely still have that game. But the thing is with Notre Dame, they made the championship that 1 year where it was BCS and they got their doors blown off by Alabama. They have to make a run for me in something like this for me to think that they shouldn't join a conference still, because they don't play an overly tough schedule. They do play here and there. They've gotten better of late. They used to play just all cupcakes, maybe one team that was any good, and then that was it. Now they're at least exploring a little bit. But I disagree. I think they have to join a conference soon, or else no one's going to take them seriously. If they go out and say they go out and
Really?
say they go out and lose this game to Indiana for somehow. Indiana's in the Big Ten. I'm not saying they're going to. I think they're going to win. Then you're going to be like, okay, what are we doing? We gave them probably the best matchup we could. Indiana's been less than stellar. They've had a good year, but the two teams they lost to were the only good teams they played on their schedule. Penn State and Ohio State, I believe it was.
Yeah, looking in just to kind of hop in, I think this will bolster your case here. They really did not play a good team.
No, that's what I'm saying. They don't play.
They played Texas A&M opening week. They won 23-13.
Right. Well, and it's hard.
And then you had Louisville at a point was 15. They beat them.
Yeah, but they ended terribly. They were not.
And the rest of the way, you had both Army and Navy. I don't think that they should play both Army and Navy in 1 year.
No, like that's the thing is, and
then they beat USC and
they
in Florida State and Virginia. Some teams that you think could be okay, but they just had terrible years.
Yeah, and Florida State is probably the one that was like, well, there's our good game we can get some recognition for, but obviously they were terrible. But that's the thing is, teams have to go and almost go out of their way and schedule them. And you're not going to get top teams that say, hey, let's go schedule Notre Dame, because especially SEC teams that are playing 6, 7, 8 tough games a season. And then now their non-conference schedule is good too now. And Nick Saban kind of made a point. It's like, does it pay to even play the good teams because of what SMU got in? And then you look at Indiana, and then you look at, like you said, Notre Dame. He was like, does it even pay to have a non-conference schedule that's any good if you're in the SEC? Just play your SEC schedule and schedule cupcakes after that on the other side of it. So it's definitely raises.
Good point. So I guess I see your side of the argument, and I get that could Big Ten or SEC, that would bolster their schedule.
Yeah.
Granted, they played some of those teams. They had Purdue, they had Virginia, they had FSU. So they had some names in there, Louisville, Texas A&M. But they were all, teams that none of them really rose to the occasion.
Mm-mm.
I guess it's just kind of that thing of like, I just feel like so many of the old ways of college football, that being one, Notre Dame is just this free spirit, and they're, the cathedral of college football in some respects.
Yeah. I think those days are gone. But like I said, I think all that goes away, and people like me shut up if they can make a run in this. If they go ahead and beat Indiana and then they beat Georgia,
I called it.
You're done. Right. If they do that,
then they're free to do whatever the hell they want.
Exactly. And this is their chance, because there's never been a chance for them to really do that in something like this, because they'd have to be top 4 or top 2 before to even get into a playoff. So now, being the 7 seed, I mean, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to shut people like me up and say, no, we don't need to join a conference.
Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't see there's quite a few comments and things too. You keep an eye on those, Sab, as they come in.
Facebook or YouTube?
Yeah, no, I was just looking at Facebook too.
Oh, yeah, that's the ones I was reading off. Yeah,
okay.
I was reading ones off. So, yeah, we're good.
But do you want to touch NFL at all?
We might as well, man. I mean, we're here. Let's do it.
We got the time. All right, let's rock and roll. And we can
something
I'll tell you.
that just came across my phone really quick. I actually just saw it. It's not big news. It doesn't really matter. The team's out of the playoffs, but Jameis Winston is now benched, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to start for the Browns. So
Why?
because they're stupid and they want to tank. Probably that's probably what it is. They don't want to win
Yeah.
any more games. So
I'm pulling for Jameis. He was primetime TV for me this year.
yeah, he was for sure.
Get that guy some commercial deals, please.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. Let's talk NFL. Let's try and build off my 16-0 record last
Incredible.
week. See what we
Incredible.
can do. Let's talk
All right.
Thursday night football first.
Let's go
That's
for
what we
it.
always do.
I'll tell you what, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I believe it's Broncos Chargers.
Yeah, I think I got
I
something.
think we've gotten acquainted enough with the Broncos. I was pulling for Herbert just as going with my heart, my fantasy quarterback. Didn't do what I wanted him to do the past few weeks, unfortunately. The Broncos got all the momentum in the world, and they're going in as an underdog.
Yes, they are.
We'll start right there. Give me the Broncos plus 130.
On the money line. Okay, so you did something I didn't even do. I don't like to pick like I said, I don't like to pick the Broncos spreads usually, but since they're on Thursday night, I kind of have to. They are 3-point underdogs going into this game. They lost to the Chargers earlier in the year. It was week 6, I believe. It was Bo Nix not playing up to where he is now, not even close. He was starting to kind of get into it, but he didn't. It was after that he went on this crazy run playing well. So I think that it's going to be different this time around on a short week. The Chargers looked rough the last couple weeks against the Chiefs. Justin Herbert got banged up. Then the Bucs came into town and just throttled them 40-17. I think they're reeling. Like you said, the Broncos have all the momentum, 4-game win streak. They flexed the Broncos again after this week to Saturday primetime. So apparently the NFL wants to see us in primetime. They did it this week. They flexed us. They're going to be the first team in NFL history to have to go on the road twice on Thursday night, and they're going to be the first team in NFL history to win twice. I'm taking the 3 points. Obviously think they're going to win outright, so give me the Broncos Thursday night. I've only missed one Thursday night game this year still, and it was the Ravens game that they didn't cover. They won, but they didn't cover the 6 against the Bengals. So we're going to try and keep that going here for Thursday night.
And just brought to my attention again, we're not tech savvy that it's not streaming to YouTube. So some of the people that went there first, we apologize. You can watch a replay, but keep chatting on Facebook.
Interesting.
Yeah,
all right,
we'll get that fixed up. We'll get that fixed up for week 2 of our live series. Cool. So we're both on the Broncos. I'll take the money line. Did I hear you say you want the spread? Was that the verdict?
I did take the +3. Yeah.
Okay, understood. And then let's get right into, our pick 'em for the weekend slate. I'm going to run through mine real quick, and then we can have some banter if you guys like or any questions. I'm taking, and this is, I know you said Kansas City going to whoop up on the Texans. I'm taking the Texans. All right. Kansas City has not impressed me. And, a guy that had, Travis Kelce in one league, that's just like, where are you, man? Why am I getting 5 points?
Where are you, buddy?
Yeah, and then Mahomes, I know you said he kind of hams it up a little bit with the injuries. I think he's getting his butt kicked. He's taking some shots this year, which he's not really used to.
Yeah.
So give me the Texans. I think that they can do something this week, especially if Mahomes is not looking too hot and not too mobile. Give me the Ravens over the Steelers. Lamar is a beast. He's still quietly in the MVP hunt. Bucks Cowboys, I would love to say the Cowboys really got momentum going. Cooper Rush looked pretty good, but they do it against the Giants and the Panthers and these teams that are at the bottom. So I got to say Bucks over Cowboys. Give me the Rams over the Jets. Give me the Eagles over the Commanders. This I will give you as one of my specials. They're just a 3.5-point favorite. The Eagles are rolling, man. They look so damn good. Give me the Eagles -3.5 there. Falcons over Giants. That's one that we talked about. If you want to go for the 3 interception, 400-yard passing type of monster parlay on Penix, go for it. Bengals over the Browns. Colts over Titans. Lions over the Bears. Vikings over Seahawks. They're just -3. I will take Vikings -3.
Geno Smith is banged up too. I don't know if he's going to play.
Yeah, I think they easily cover -3. I really like that. Jags, Raiders, this is a flip of the coin of who can hang on to a football. I'll take the Jags.
Do you think there's more than 14 people at that game?
No, I think they don't even put it on TV.
It's in Vegas, so actually there might be, so never mind.
Yeah, that's where you're going to just have people drunk in Vegas betting I'm calling a 99-yard interception return.
They're betting more on red than they are paying for tickets to that game, that's for sure.
And then I'll take the Niners over the Dolphins. I think that's an upset too, but I'm taking the Niners over Dolphins. And then to close it all out, the Packers over the Saints. That is my 16 picks.
Okay, so
Hopefully,
I'm getting absolutely railroaded in the comments right now. First
is
off,
it all about my comment here?
first off, Fiola says, "Let's go Chargers." Then he says, "I think Bo Nix is the MVP." I've never said that once on this show. I think he has a good case for offensive rookie of the year. Pat says Bo Nix is God. I agree with that. Yeah, per Savvy, he walks on water. Worked out well when he said Tebow was God. I mean, these guys are just crushing me. And Pat Gira wants to know if Brian, if you're auditioning for The Sopranos with that Italian. And then he says Gino Smith, Miramar High School. Of course, Mark goes to the freaking high school kids because that's all he knows. But yeah, so I'm getting smoked in the comments. But I'm gonna rapid fire here real quick. My picks.
Real
Rapid fire.
quick, before you give us the picks, any specials you want to get out of the way?
Yeah, so I'll do those two. So the specials, I like the Chiefs minus 2.5. I think Mahomes plays. I think he limps around and he plays well, and everybody's like goo goo
All right,
gaga
whatever.
over him.
Go on.
I like the Lions minus 6.5 at Chicago. Chicago's terrible, terrible. And I think the Lions figure it out and they bounce back. I think they win by a touchdown. I like
Okay.
the Bills minus 13.5 against the Patriots at home. I think that's a blowout. I know
Ugh.
it's a division game, but the Patriots suck. So give me Josh Allen.
Those big spreads when we're
Yeah,
getting into the teams,
usually,
they
yeah.
scare me.
But I'll take it.
Okay.
And then lastly, you're not gonna like this. I'm taking on Sunday Night Football. I'm taking the Bucks minus 3 at Dallas. I think that's a
They cover.
The Bucks are playing some good ball right now. Baker Mayfield's playing really well. He's got really good numbers. I know Mark Field Jr. doesn't know that Baker Mayfield's good. He's been saying it for years that he's not. If he turned on his TV, he'd know that he's good. So give me that. And then for the pick'em, we're gonna try and go 16-0 again. I'm gonna just go down the
Far away, it's
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to now, and of course, I'm not going to do it. But Chiefs over Texans, Ravens over the Steelers, Cardinals over the Panthers. I think that's a sneaky game though, because the Cardinals are weird.
I'm sorry if I missed that. I didn't say that one.
The
Did
Cardinals one, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but definitely Cardinals over Panthers.
Yeah, that's a weird one to me. I think they'll win, but I wouldn't bet the spread on that. Bengals. I think they're playing the Browns. Yeah, give me the Bengals. Yes. Lions over the Bears. Rams to win at the Jets. Falcons to win against the Giants. Eagles over the Commanders. Colts over the Titans. Raiders over the Jags, just because I had to pick one. Bills over the Patriots. Niners over the Dolphins. Bucks over the Cowboys. And then the Packers over the Saints. There's your 16-0.
Okay.
For week 16.
Cool.
From me.
Cool. I like it. So everybody that tuned in, again, sorry about the YouTube thing, but we'll post the replay like we always do. And then I know it's just Tuesday night that we're recording this one, so we, reserve the right to maybe tweak a few things, which we'll share.
For sure.
Yeah. But cool. Any closing thoughts there, Sab?
No, man, I'm excited for the college football playoff to get going.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to Thursday night, man. My Broncos can clinch a playoff spot if they win. Something we haven't done in 8 years.
If you're a Broncos fan, you'll take the money line with me.
I'm going to now. Now I have to.
Enough of your silly little spreads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. We'll see you next time, Sab.
Yes, sir. It was good times. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Yep.
Well, next time.
We will see you next time, guys. We'll share it everywhere. Tuesday night is our night. Tuesday at 9:30. We'll get this tech stuff straightened out. Keep tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.